Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of We Empower. I'm thrilled to have you all with us today, and I hope you're ready for an empowering journey ahead. I know that since our last show, a lot has happened in our lives. From personal achievements to professional challenges, each day has presented its own set of opportunities and obstacles. But fear not, because today we're going to take a moment to reflect on the past week together. Over the past few days, we've received numerous messages from listeners like you seeking guidance and support for both their professional and personal lives. I want you to know that we hear you and we're here to help you, whether it's navigating the complexities of the workplace or finding balance in your everyday life. We're committed to providing you with the tools and resources you need to thrive. So sit back, relax, and get ready to be inspired. Together, we will tackle challenges, celebrate victories, and empower each other to reach new heights. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. We're in this together, and together we can achieve anything. Let's make today count. In today's episode, we will be diving into some things, some highlights from the past week and sharing what you can look forward to in the next 60 minutes. We start by recapping a few standout moments from the previous week before treating you to a song that hints and triggering the personality of our special guest for today. Stay tuned to hear why this song was chosen by our guest herself. Joining us today is Silvia Wiesner, who will be sharing insights and stories with us. Following that, I will introduce you to an inspiring book. So to wrap things up, we will open floor to your questions, which I'm happy to answer to close the show. So let's dive into some highlights from the last week. First, leaders von der Leyen, Meloni, and Le Pen, the three women shaping Europe. Europe is currently facing a multitude of significant challenges. The ongoing war in Ukraine is the continent's bloodiest conflict since 1945, causing widespread devastation and instability. Russia continues to pose threats across various fronts, from the Baltics to cyberspace. Adding to these concerns, the potential re-election of Donald Trump and the United States could destabilize NATO, the cornerstone of European security. Furthermore, Europe's economy is highly vulnerable to external shocks, particularly those arising from industrial policies and protectionism in other parts of the world. Meanwhile, Eurosceptic populists are gaining momentum in the polls, challenging the traditional political order. In this critical context, Europe needs strong and current leadership at the EU level to navigate these perilous times. It is also essential to prevent extremists from gaining power, which could further destabilize the region. The fate of Europe may well rest on the decisions and actions of three influential women: Ursula von der Leyen, the President of the European Commission, Giorgia Meloni, the Prime Minister of Italy, and Marine Le Pen, the leading French populist. Ursula von der Leyen, as the President of the European Commission, plays a central role in shaping EU policies and responses to these challenges. Her leadership is crucial in maintaining unity and coherence within the EU. Giorgia Meloni, Italy's Prime Minister, represents a significant figure in European politics, especially given Italy's economic size and political influence. Her decisions will have substantial implications for both Italy and the broader EU. Marine Le Pen, a prominent figure in French politics and a leading populist, as her father, embodies the rise of Eurosceptic and nationalist sentiments. Her influence could dramatically alter the political landscape in France and potentially the EU, depending on her political successes. Together, the three women encapsulate the complex interplay between mainstream and populist politics in Europe. Their leadership and the choices they make will be pivotal in determining how Europe addresses its current challenges and navigates its future path. Leaders cash for kids while paying women to have more babies won't work. As birth rates plummet across the globe, many politicians are advocating for financial incentives to encourage women to have more children. This demographic decline poses a serious challenge, particularly in the rich world where populations are aging rapidly, and the number of births is insufficient to sustain current population levels without immigration. Several countries are considering or implementing policies aimed at boosting birth rates. For instance, Donald Trump has promised financial bonuses for families if he returns to the White House. In France, where the government already spends a significant portion of its GDP on family policies, President Emmanuel Macron aims to demographically realm the country. South Korea is contemplating extraordinary generous handouts, offering up to 70,000 for each baby born. Despite these efforts, these policies are likely to fail because they are based on a fundamental misunderstanding of the factors influencing fertility rates. Government's concerns are valid, as fertility rates are declining almost everywhere. In high-income countries, the average woman is expected to have just 1.6 children over her lifetime, well below the replacement level of 2.1 needed for a stable population without immigration. This decline has been faster and more widespread than demographers has anticipated. The reasons for low birth rates are complex and multifaceted, including economic uncertainty, changing social norms, increased participation of women in the workforce, and a shift in personal values and lifestyle choices. Simply offering financial incentives does not address these deeper issues and is unlikely to significantly alter birth rates. As populations in rich countries continue to age and shrink, economies will need to adapt to these demographic changes. This adaptation might involve policy shifts to better support families and working parents, investments in automation and technology to compensate for labor shortages, and potentially more liberal immigration policies to counterbalance the declining birth rates. In a sense, a more comprehensive approach that goes beyond financial incentives is necessary to address the underlying causes of low fertility and to mitigate its impacts on society and the economy. So that was a politics from last week's for today. And now let's kick off things with a song selected by Silvia. Ticket to anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere, any place. Is better. Starting from zero, go nothing to lose. Wow, thank you so much for this great song, Silvia, and welcome here today in the radio show.
Thank you. I'm super pleased to be here with you.
I would like to give a few background information to this song because I found it really touchy when I heard it. And it's Fast Car by Tracy Chapman, whom might know. It is her most popular song written in 1986, one of the last songs she wrote before recording her first album. And she performed it first at the Nelson Mandela 70th birthday tribute concert. And it began its rise on the US charts. And it tells a story about people lives and generally represents a world where she lived and where she was growing up in Cleveland, Ohio, coming from a working class background, raised by a single mom, just watching people, being in a community of people who were struggling. So she said, so everyone there around me was just really about first working hard and second hoping that things would get better. And she said that this song, when she wrote the first lines, she had a dachshund, a miniature dachshund, and the dog was always with her. And when she wrote the first lines and made the and sang the melody, he turned around like, "Ooh, wow, this is different."
Yeah.
So she said, this comes to my mind when I remember this song. And she said, in my songs, I often remember after I wrote it, what it was about. And she said, after I wrote it, I realized that it's maybe about my mother who raised me up as a single mom, and where my parents wanted to start very young a new life together because they thought it's easier together. We can double our power. And her mother was anxious to leave home. Her parents got married, went out into the world, tried to make a place for themselves, and it turned into difficulties, but the dream stayed. So a great song, Silvia. So again, thank you for sorting it out. Could you provide us with what is the reason why you sorted this song out? What binds you or is combined with this song?
Yeah, sure. Happy to do so. I think in general, there have been countless interpretations of this specific song. To me, however, it's very much a story of hope, There's a lot of authenticity in there. I think she chooses to look at opportunity. So it's also about the choice of how you look at a situation. And as you already alluded to, if you think you can do it on your own, you're probably not yet thinking big enough. So that's another connotation that I like related to the song. I see the topic of pivots, life pivots. I see female power. And I find the song highly touching. So it's something that goes straight to your heart. And probably the last reason why I also chose the song is there is a linkage to diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is also very close to my heart.
Thank you so much. So now I would like to give a warm welcome, official warm welcome to you. And besides the song, I'm very happy that you're being here. And I would like to introduce you with a few words, which is not easy as we have not that much time left, which I would love to have. But I will give it a try, and maybe I need your support that you tell me a bit more about that. So Silvia Wiesner is a leadership advisor and consultant at Egon Zehnder, and you have 7 years of experience in marketing, sales, and general management across European consumer goods markets. You actively contributes to Egon Zehnder's consumer and DI practice groups locally and globally. And your impressive career includes roles such as managing director for Belgium and Luxembourg at Unilever, general manager and vice president marketing for the food business in German-speaking countries. As a young global leader from Davos, recognized by the World Economic Forum, and as a member of the Executive Committee of European Women on Boards, you advocate for gender parity in decision-making positions. You regularly give also keynotes across Europe on leadership topics. And you collected a lot of experience. You're supporting women. You're passionate about promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in executive and non-executive teams, reflected by your role in the Executive Committee of European Women on Boards and top 100 Women for Diversity in Germany. I heard that you are known for your positive energy, for your inspiration you give to clients and teams, and developing clear visions and concrete plans with them. I know that you gave also a TEDx talk, which I found really inspiring. And your combined agility with determination, combined with boots on the ground, ever since becoming the first in your family to hold a university degree. So do you want to share a little bit about what brought you to the person you're here today? I mean, first in the family to hold a university degree, and one of the most important Egon Zehnder partners. This seems to be a story.
Well, thank you so much for this extremely kind introduction. So it's clearly worthwhile coming on your radio show to hear such a lovely introduction. So what brought me here? Probably it's a longer story, right? I think it's been 42 years now, and it's like one step after the other. But for sure, there have been a couple of impactful moments in my life. And obviously, the most impactful pivot in my life was having my daughter, right? So let's talk about something that's not clearly related to my professional life, even though it very much is, in my view. Having my daughter was a very special pivot because it's not simply a choice, nor is it simple. When we're thinking of those toddler tantrums at 6 a.m. that are waking up the neighbors, or more seriously, I think it's also just a super marked change that affects every single part of your life. And it does so suddenly. From 1 minute to the other, there is this unparalleled feeling of responsibility for someone else. And then a few years into motherhood, and my daughter is now 4.5, I noticed that the agility and the resilience demonstrated when moving into such a parental role, they do increase your confidence. And they result in a confidence to say, I'm prepared to take on new and challenging situations, and I'm ready to deal with them in a more flexible and adaptive way, both in my personal and my professional life. And I'm truly convinced the more of these life pivots you pull off, the better prepared you get.
That's right. Yes. And you're right. I think as a mother, you think different, or you start thinking different, and you get another view on things. You understand also what life means if you have this small child in your arms, and you understand that life is full of chances, but also full of challenges every day. And what I liked also, that what you said is that it is so important to think big enough. I think that there's a lot of people who are just thinking too little or too small is the reason why they don't develop in the way they could do.
100% agree. And I think for that to happen, however, you need to take the time. You need to take the time to reflect, to zoom out, to go on the balcony while you're actually also on the dance floor, right?
Yes.
Practicing that skill, which is highly valuable. Reflect whether you are in the place you would like to be, whether you are with the people you would like to be, and if not, what does that mean for you? So really being attentive to the little hints coming left and right that are showing you resistance to maybe your current environment, or are showing you your curiosity and your eagerness to explore something else. But again, it takes time to be attentive. And then, of course, it also takes some courage.
Yeah, I think this is super important to understand that courage is that we need. I often think that we would need more of that. And I'm asking myself why there are so little people who have that courage, not only to do things, but also to reflect on things.
I guess there's no simple or straightforward answer to that. I think sometimes we're really just too much in this rat race, and we just keep going, and we essentially don't take the 2 minutes in a day to think about the day per se, to go into that macro level. I think that's very much holding us back. The second topic, however, and that's one where we can actually hold our hands, we can support each other, is by sharing. I think quite often people know what would be the right thing to do, what they would love to aim for, but then the question is how to do that. Yes. However, if we are hearing more positive examples from people all around us, it can increase our confidence. It can decrease the perceived hurdle. Yeah. So I very much believe in inspiring others by sharing your stories.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So now we can continue after the commercial break, and there it starts. So we can continue our talk, and I'm very much looking forward to hear more from Silvia. Silvia, you told me you are mother, you are managing director, you're a partner. You have some outstanding roles as a woman, as an executive. What needs to happen for us to ensure our future world worth living in, and why is it so hard that we get there?
So if we go to the macro level, in the end, it all just comes down to the basics of leadership. In the end, it's always just a choice. Choosing to do what's right, even if it may be inconvenient, if it may come with certain challenges and consequences that, may be a bit of a burden. And that's why we need to talk about our own leadership responsibility related to our own lives. Let's face it, nobody else can do that for us, but also our leadership responsibility when it comes to contributing to the bigger scheme of things, when it comes to contributing to our communities and to the planet. And that's actually one of the main reasons why I decided to go into this new profession of leadership advisory work, because I'm so highly convinced by a purpose of contributing to leadership for a better world.
And if you need to give the high politicians a tip, or a kind of 5 points plan how to do it, what would this include? Because I mean, you see, we have the COP, we have Davos, we have so many important conferences where all the people come together. And I find it always being there really great, yes. getting back with inspired, feeling inspired. And afterward, I think, oh my God, we managed to just do a drip, a tiny little bit of that. And so many, it seems like have not understood what is it about. And we are losing year by year, centimeters by centimeters. We are losing people, we are losing animals, we are losing species, we are losing quality of life. But it seems that it's all not enough. And the people above here have not understood what is it really about and still think that it's their egos, or what can we do there?
So I think in the end, it comes down to all of us, as we have a lot of power deciding what type of products we buy, which then will have an impact on who is leading big corporations. The decision power, where are we going to work? Again, that's going to impact who is leading those corporations. Similarly, when it comes to the political scheme, and no better year to discuss it than this year with all the elections coming up, we have impact on those people who are going to have high borrowed power for a certain period of time. So that's point number one, to make sure nobody is left off the hook. And then I think if you are in this position of power, we can also acknowledge it's not an easy role, right? And it can be pretty, it can feel like there is solitude, and you can also expect some backlash. So I want to say that upfront. It's not an easy task. At the same time, I think there is opportunity to make life for you easier when you're breaking down big problems into smaller pieces. So, cut out the elephant and then, eat it piece by piece. I think it's still true, right? What we learned at university, what I have been practicing ever since, it is very much true. And it will add up. Little by little, it will add up. At the same time, of course, acknowledging that we are nowhere near to doing what's right in terms of scope and speed. Secondly, though, I think also highly helpful to have the courage is teaming up with others, to really looking for the collaboration with others, to understanding that usually we're talking about challenges that are true for a whole value chain. And then the solution will be also sitting within this wider value chain. And if you're teaming up, you're creating a level playground. And of course, there are certain rules and compliance topics that need to be taken into account. But at the same time, I'm thinking we are seeing more and more willingness and openness to go for collaboration across organizations within one value chain, which then can translate into systemic change.
Good point. I completely agree with you. I mean, sometimes if I look at the whole picture, at the big picture, I think, oh my God, we have so many steps to walk. But on the other hand, it's as you said, it's important to look at it from the other angle and see how far we are, how much we already reached, and to see how many companies are willing to work together, even competitors. This is great to see, isn't it?
Absolutely. And that's why I love, for instance, being part of the community of young global leaders of the World Economic Forum, where you have this spirit of sharing and cross-pollination and collaboration. And actually, one of my YGL colleagues, Florian Hoffmann, has also written a wonderful book looking at the new world and highlighting how many fantastic examples are already out there of people doing exactly what's right to protect our planet and to protect our communities.
What is the work you're doing there? Are you meeting on a regular basis? Is it that as a young global leader, you think that this gives you the chance to move more or wider? Or is it just meeting and getting input, being inspired again?
Not quite the latter one. I think it's essentially an opportunity. It's a platform that you are provided with, and you're really lucky if that's the case, where you're in exchange with people from all over the world with the most diverse backgrounds. And luckily, it's individuals who are accomplished and humble and generous. And I think that's a wonderful combination. So for me, it's an opportunity to connect, to learn so much more about essential topics of this world. You can be sure that you will always find a partner in crime to address a certain topic, to create a connection, to tap into the wide network of each one of these individuals being part of the community, and to find someone who will be willing to team up with you. I think that's the one part. The other part is when you have a community with a lot of trust, you can also just open up and you can share your own story and you can share what your challenges are. And as a matter of fact, in the end, we all share very similar challenges, starting with how do you balance your ambitions in your professional life and the purpose you want to live up to, with also what matters a lot to you, your family life, your partner and your children, and yourself, not to forget about that one. And I think you can just have the most beautiful open conversations and have a fantastic support network, which is essential if you want to accomplish things in your professional life and if you want to contribute to both people and planet.
Good point. And I can feel it. For example, I'm at Nexus Society, and it's so great to have like-minded people around you. On the one hand, you know that it's a bubble, but on the other hand, that you know that you can behave and say what you want. It's fine. You're accepted in the role you are. You don't need to hide something. You can say everything. You can discuss it openly. And as you said, it is a situation where you feel where you feel home. And as if it's a room of decision makers, it's great if you can spread the word, because you know that all the people around are doing something and moving something. And this is at least something which is super important to have to maximize this power, spread it out to the world, right?
100%. And I think particularly when you already have people who want to have a positive impact in the world, the messages that they need to hear are not the ones of the disaster that's waiting for us, right? And, you know, it's such a burning platform. There is a lot of awareness on that already. What needs to be shared is the positive stories, the optimism, the pragmatic optimism needs to be nurtured to be able to continue going yet again.
I like that. Really, we need these stories. We need these narratives. We need these positive ones, which are moving, giving power, and not that you put the power into negative things, which are holding you back, right? And I mean, I asked you about the future, what we can change there. You are also a mother of a daughter, and I mean, having a kid, you're thinking about the future even maybe in a different way, because it's also the future of your children. And I mean, we have a lot to do as women in a world which is, of course, dominated by men. And I think there were some steps taken, but there is still something to do. And I by myself like to surround and to say we're all together, not the women alone. The men should come with us. We are one team. What could you maybe share of the education you give to your daughter in this special situation of polycrisis, of species dying, of planetary boundaries being in a risky situation?
Maybe let me start by saying I'm very much aware that I am extremely lucky to be able to raise a child in such safe conditions that we're living in here in Germany. Absolutely not taking that for granted. Secondly, if I just look back at my own childhood, I think the most pronounced message that my parents left me with is the one that they love me, and they love me unconditionally, and they will always be there for me. And I do remember looking back, there were moments when I was thinking, Jesus, why is my dad telling me once again that he loves me? Yeah, now I understand. And I'm doing exactly the same every single day, telling my daughter how much I love her and how wonderful she is as a human being. And also giving her very, very concrete feedback on behaviors I'm seeing. For instance, her being highly empathetic, and I'm highlighting that and the added value she's bringing to others' lives. And therefore, she is being invited to birthday parties because she's such a wonderful human being. I'm trying to explain to her what I'm seeing and trying to reinforce fantastic behavior. And I think that's also linked to my belief in the power of positive psychology and positive leadership, just in a nurturing parental relationship, ensuring there is positive emotions being present, focusing on the strengths, nurturing and leveraging these strengths. And on top of that, of course, also creating psychological safety. And pretty clearly that's something you can start with when you are having a toddler.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I think this is a super important message saying, I love you. And also what I liked, what you pointed out, that you're giving her clear feedback on her behavior, not on her personality. That because this is unwritten, she is good and as a person as she is. And it's maybe her behavior where you have comments on. That's just great, great, great. And this is so important to do so. What do you think, as unfortunately we're coming to an end, what could be interesting or good hacks to know, what you could give out of your experience to the people listening now to our talk?
Hacks related to any specific territory?
Any. Time management, food, well-being, the right partner.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's about territory. So maybe let's talk about health, because I think we are always at risk of focusing on others and trying to support and contribute to others. And we are sometimes just forgetting about ourselves. But it's true, as you're being told on the plane, first put the oxygen mask on you and then help the others. So when it comes to health, I really have learned to listen to my body, and I have so much awe about my body because it knows what's going on. It already knows how I'm going to decide in a certain situation. It knows what I'm exactly needing at that point in time. So I'm much more ruthlessly listening to my body and then acting accordingly. For instance, when it's time to go to bed and not to push, for just another hour in front of the laptop.
Oh,
I'd rather do that the next day, right?
Yeah, this is super important and I can feel it. Thank you so much, Silvia, for being with us. I would love to talk further with you, and I hope to see you very, 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 very soon and cooperating with you. Thank you so much.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Anabel. It was a true pleasure.
Thank you. Have a great day.